Hey everyone, my name is Christian Arteaga. I'm a C7 quadriplegic medically retired Air Force veteran, and since my injury, I have been trying to redefine myself as well as navigate change. So I'm going to be launching this new series called The Monday Push, where I just share some of the things I learned in my day-to-day life, as well as try to inspire people to keep moving forward. So for today's topic, I want to talk about the power of cultivating daily inspiration and how just one small break away from routine can create this upward spiral that can ultimately lead to a better lifestyle. So ever since my injury, I have been paralyzed from the chest down, and although the obvious loss has been my ability to walk, one of the bigger hits has been the function of my hands, which has limited me in a lot of different ways. But one way in particular has been my movement towards total reliance to digital media, everything from the Notes app to the Calendar app to audiobooks and so on. But lately, whenever I need music in the background of my apartment, I'll put on these YouTube videos, these like jazz in the background videos that always have some sort of photo as the backdrop featuring like some sort of coffee shop or a beach scene or somebody reading or writing or working on something. And I'm always such a sucker for aesthetic. And I thought to myself, you know what? I would love to go back to like reading a handheld book, because audiobooks or reading on an ebook, it's just not doing it for me. It's just not the same. So in the first time in 3 years, I set out for a physical book, and somebody dear to me recommended this book called The Alchemist. So The Alchemist revolves around themes of seeking adventure, pursuing your dreams, and noticing signs that life is trying to push you towards something more. And these themes immediately began to resonate with me and would stick with me throughout that month. As I continued reading, I decided that reading in my apartment with YouTube videos in the background wasn't going to be enough. I no longer wanted to watch YouTube videos of people reading in a cafe. I wanted to be that person reading in a cafe. So I remember thinking, there's a coffee shop literally right around the corner for me. And it would just take one decision to roll out of my apartment and take my book and read there right now. And that's exactly what I did. I rolled out of my apartment and I pulled up to my local coffee shop. And this was my first time in a long time breaking away from my routine. And don't get me wrong, I love my routine. I worked hard to set it up. It's what allows me to turn my brain off during burdensome chores to help me retain energy. But what I noticed after a while is that I began to depend on my routine, and I would start to turn my brain off to any opportunity of change. I would begin to get too comfortable with familiarity and become reluctant to even step out of my comfort zone at all. So this one small victory over my routine encouraged me to up my game even further and go out and buy a journal and a planner and start handwriting again despite the challenges of holding a pen. I loved this new identity that was forming to the point where I started writing in my fresh new journal all the different things that made me feel that way, no matter how small or cheesy. I started writing down things like the open road, driving down the countryside with the windows down, music blaring, the idea of a mountain scene surrounded by tall trees, crackling campfires. And the more I thought about these things, the more sensitive and aware I became of the things that kind of invoked that feeling in my day-to-day life. And not only that, but I started to intentionally surround myself with the things that inspired me. I would go home and I would put on YouTube videos of people living the life I wanted to live. I wanted to watch people surfing, camping, going on road trips, just living life to the fullest. To the point where watching these videos would no longer be enough. I thought to myself, if the decision to go to a coffee shop was so simple, why should camping be any different? I mean, sites are bookable, gear is accessible. That dream was literally just a few clicks away from becoming a reality. So I went online, I booked the site, and with the magic of 2-day shipping, I was in the mountains just a week after that thought was originally conceived. So keep in mind, this is all happening in just the course of a couple weeks. I went from somebody that was holed up in his apartment, clinging to routine, to somebody who was camping and planning his next trips already. So one of the concerns that started to come up was, how do I keep this momentum going? How do I stop this fire from fading? So naturally, I'm journaling all my thoughts down on it, and I began to reflect on the past couple weeks of how I got to this point and how I can recreate this if I had to. So what I observed was all it takes is one small thought to turn into a small action, and that small action turns into a bigger thought, into a bigger action, and so on. I discovered that small victories over my routine changed my whole self-perception. It changed how I viewed my potential and what I'm capable of. I think a lot of people think you have to be the kind of guy that does stuff to do that stuff. And I realized that identity came with the doing and not the other way around. I learned that small actions towards a goal is more effective than the perfect plan. The perfect conditions are never going to exist. Those small actions are what's going to close the gap between that moment of inspiration to making those dreams a reality. And the more that you act on those moments of inspiration, the more it compounds. So I'll leave you with this. What's one thing you've been inspired to do lately? And what is one small action you can make towards that goal this week? Thank you so much for listening. I hope that this gave you a little push to move forward this week, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.